members are here, so good evening, everybody. It is February 28th at 5:31. I'm going to call it into order the Brookfield Conservation Commission meeting. The meeting is being recorded by the commission as well as a private citizen, Christopher LePeck. The first thing that's going to be on our agenda is going to be an RDA request for termination applicability for 109 Weber Road. The applicant is present.
Yes.
All right, would you like to proceed?
Sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Daniel White. I'm here to present on behalf of National Grid, where our project includes the installation of 4 poles in the buffer zone along 109 Weber Road and the replacement of 1 pre-existing pole. All the poles will be located in previously disturbed roadway shoulder, except for the closest pole to the property, which will be located in the previously disturbed driveway shoulder. We are exempt under the Act, but not the local town bylaw. So if you go to attachment C, you will see the resource area map and the proposed work. Overall, the project is about 16 square feet of disturbance, and this will be temporary. There will be about a square foot and a half per pole that will remain in place. And also associated with the project will be tree clearings and selective cuttings that are necessary for clearance and safety, and those are also listed in the application.
Okay. Review of documentation by the commission. Just to the commission members know that there is no change on the documentation from our last meeting. Did you have a chance to review these documents? Okay. Does anybody want to review the documents any further? Okay. So we'll go right on to the next section. Will be public comments. Is there any abutters that would like to be heard on this project? Okay. Here none. Is there any members of the public that would like to be heard on this project?
I got a question.
Which question, Mr. Holcraft?
John E. Holcraft speaking. Is this the same meeting that was held in the annex a week ago?
This meeting? No, this is a different meeting.
With the electric company?
This
Is it the same
109
one?
Weber Road is, yeah, yes, this is the same
Is it the one
project.
that you had last week at the annex? You two were here at the annex, correct?
This is the, Mr. Holcraft, I'm going to direct you to direct the questions to the chair directly, not to the applicant. Okay, so to answer your question, yes, this is the same application that was at 109 Weber Road at the library annex, correct?
Okay, so you're doing the hearing over, okay, that's all I want to know.
Okay, did you have any other questions?
I just asked, this is the hearing, then you're just doing over to me.
This is we are in a hearing right now. This is an RDA
Right, so
hearing.
you're having this hearing to correct from last week, is all I'm asking you.
Okay, so did you have any other questions?
Is that a yes or is that a no?
We're having a hearing right now for 109 Weber Road. So
Okay.
it is the same hearing that was at the library annex, correct?
Okay, very good, thank you.
Did you have any other questions?
No, that's good.
Okay, is there any other comments from members of the public? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna go right on to our discussion. Does anybody have any discussion that's gonna be different from what we discussed? Or want to have any discussion at all on this project? Okay, I'm inclined to take a motion. There's no changes in the applicant, there's no changes in the documentation. So I'm inclined to take a motion for a negative determination with our standard stipulations.
Make a motion for a negative determination.
With our standard stipulations?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, the motion has been made to find a negative determination for 109 Weber Road with our standard condition. Can I get a second?
Second.
Maybe a second?
Hi, Candace.
Candace, okay. Okay, Candace has seconded the motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, we'll take a vote by name.
Candace Lombard? Yes.
Megan Metz, aye.
Scully Betts, aye.
Christopher Kelleher, aye. Okay, the motion so passes. Thank you for coming again. We really do appreciate it, and our apologies. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one.
Have a good night. Okay, so agenda item number 3 is going to be the annual environmental conference for 2024 for registration for the vice chair and or any other members that would like to go. So, Bill, is Bill, right?
Yes.
All right, so Bill sent me an email that says he'd like to attend this. Did everybody get a chance to review it?
The email?
The email. Yeah. Okay. Does any other members want to go?
No, thank you.
No,
Okay.
sorry.
We definitely have the money for this. This comes out of the account. We have all that money. we have like thousands of dollars in. So I'm inclined to. I'm actually, I wanted to say for the record, I'm very pleased that you want to attend this. It's nice to see that that you're proactive.
That's great.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm not sure if I'd be able to register at this point.
You can. I looked it up. It's we're going to incur a $25 fee for registering at the last minute. Because the cutoff point was today at 2, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so. So part of what I'm looking at is the foundations courses, which I think, that's what I want to have.
Okay.
I'm not sure if anybody else has even looked at the MAC coursework. They're mostly are virtual things, but things like how to conduct a meeting, which also encompasses open meeting laws, which we know been issues for us. So that's part of why I was thinking it'd be good for us to do this and have refreshers for it. But it covers a lot of different stuff, delineation of wetland species, upland species versus bordering vegetative wetland, all these sorts of things. But all these nice terms and everything puts into perspective, and it gives you like guidebooks and things like that. So that's why I was going to do it. But more so, I'm looking for the virtual part of it. I think.
Sure.
I would like to go down and network, but looking at this point in time, I'm not sure if I can get in and make it happen for this weekend.
With your own scheduling, or with getting the
With my own scheduling and
Okay.
trying to figure out. I haven't picked up courses. I don't
Sure.
know what's available at this point because they do fill up.
Okay.
But in the interest of that, I'd like to see if we could maybe allot some funding towards that. I don't know if we need a per member budget or anything like that to look at some of the virtual stuff. I know we do get a discount, but I think there's something like looking at right now.
Yeah, we are members, so we do get a discount. And just so you know that Sarah and I already took one part of this course. So we do have like I said, we do have the funds. It comes out of our wetlands account, which I believe we have like either $2,000 or $3,000 in. So the funds are there. So if you're wanting to take the course, I don't know if the board wants to just do a blank check and say, we're going to spend X amount on MAC. I think we could do that. Or we could say that, it has to be an agenda item that has to come before us every single time. There's 2 ways we can do it. One concern I do have is with the open meeting law, the way that we have it on the agenda for tonight is it's this annual environment conference. When did you find out that you weren't going to be able to have schedule problems this weekend?
Well, I didn't look deeply enough into it to see
Okay.
when the actual courses that I wanted to take were scheduled.
Okay,
And that's the biggest reason why we're
Sure.
networking is not my main goal for this.
okay,
And the majority of what I have, what I'd like to take as prerequisites, and I haven't completed the foundations courses, which are 101 through 105.
right,
So I want to get that done first, but most of those, like I said, are virtual.
virtual.
And,
Okay.
but there's throughout the month, there's like a blitz of those courses, so you can actually take all.
Okay,
And that's what I'd like to see probably approval for, is to take those 101 through 105 courses at this point.
the problem that I have, the problem that I see with that is it's not on our agenda. The open meeting law says, states it has to be on the agenda. What we have on the agenda is
Well, it says it has to be
anticipated,
foreseeable.
so I was not able to foresee this,
This was
right?
not foreseeable.
Right.
We just found out.
So
Right.
it still is brought up upon discussion, so it could be.
Well, if the commission is comfortable with proceeding that way, I'll be comfortable proceeding that way.
Definitely comfortable with it.
Okay,
Somebody wants to go get training, we're all for it.
right. Okay, so with that being in mind, did you look at the course costs? As if I remember them right, they're like $100 with our discount.
Yeah, I think there was like a package deal too, so I'm trying to find that right now. I had it pulled up and just everything timed out on me, unfortunately.
That's okay. Let me ask this: is there any other members who would like to take this additional training, or is it just going to be
There we go.
Not right now.
okay?
$85, I'm sorry, MAC member $65 per unit, there's 5 units.
Okay, so 65 times 5. And when do you think you would be registered for those classes?
So these are on through 3/1 through 3/28, different dates, Wednesday, March 6th, Tuesday, March 12th.
Do you think that you would be anticipating doing any of the March classes?
I'm gonna try to do all, they're all virtual,
Okay.
so.
All right, so this is what I'm inclined to do. I'm inclined to take a motion to allow the expense of the March classes And then what I also want to do is on that motion, put this on our agenda for our March meeting, so that way we are in compliance with the law. So we got it both ways.
I'd like to make a motion that we allot the money and then take it up at the next meeting.
Okay, excellent. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll take a vote.
James Baldwin, aye.
Megan Metz, aye.
Scully Metz, aye.
Christopher Keller, aye.
William Eager, aye.
All right, the motion still passes, so, and thank you again. Really appreciate it.
Great.
All right. Okay. So the next thing on our agenda is going to be item 4, review of meeting minutes from February 15, 2020. It says 2023, but that's a typographical error. It's going to be actually 2024. Did everybody get a chance to review the minutes? Does anybody see any corrections that need to be made?
No.
Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes as presented then.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, take a vote.
James Baldwin, aye.
Megan Metz, aye.
Scully Metz, aye.
Christopher Keller, aye.
William Eager, aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved, passes. Okay, the last agenda item number 5 is going to be review open meeting law complaint from John David Holcraft. Did everybody get a chance to review the complaint?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so here we are. We're basically at the same position that we were last time. We have to decide how we're going to handle this complaint. And this is the same as before. If it pleases the board, I'd be more than happy to take on this responsibility. I've already spoken to an assistant attorney general at the Massachusetts Attorney General's office. We got in this about 3 to 4 days ago. And I'm more than happy to take on this task.
That sounds good to me.
Sounds good.
May I speak, Mr. Chairman?
So I'd like to have some discussion over it too, though.
Sure, what would you like to discuss?
Just certain points within, I mean.
Sure.
There's several points within this complaint that don't apply to open meeting law anyway.
That's correct.
And there's certain points which are valid, but then again, we don't have a clerk.
So basically, I'll enlighten you on what the email I had with the attorney, the assistant attorney general. So Mr. Holcraft had given me this complaint in 1 page, just the second page. The signature part where I needed to sign was omitted. I couldn't sign. And this was on the 6th, I believe it was, or the 16th. It was on the 16th, and it took 10 days to get it correct. We actually officially received the complaint on the 26th in its full, complete form. The Attorney General is not going to investigate complaints that are vague, that are opinionated or subjective, or they don't oversee us. They don't say you should have held the meeting this way, you should have done it this way. They are mostly concerned with violations of the open meeting law. So, like Bill said, a lot of the stuff in the complaint is just not going to apply, and that is absolutely correct. But we still have to respond to the complaint. We have to respond to the complaint, even though it's past the 30 days, it was presented to us in full past the 30 days. We have to respond to the complaint. And Ms. Holcroft has already informed me that night at the end of the library annex meeting that there was going to be more to come. So I think we can anticipate more open meeting law complaints to come. And I'm more than inclined to take on this responsibility for 2 reasons. One, the most important is I don't want to see the town burdened with the legal expense. The town has already paid over $60,000 in legal expense with Mr. Holcraft, and I don't want to see that number go up. And especially when the Assistant Attorney General is saying that this complaint is, that the complaints have to be on point. We have to break the law. Like having the door locked, not letting people come in, or talking, whispering in secrets so that people in the audience can't hear us. Those are violations. Those are real violations. Saying I don't like the way that you allowed one member of the body to speak is not a violation of the law. In fact, the chair gets to dictate to the entire meeting who gets to speak and when they get to speak. That is in the open meeting law. So the bill is correct, and I just, that's how I feel about it. So
If I might be able to speak, Mr. Chairman.
the body is talking, Ms. Holcraft, so please don't interrupt us. I'm going to give you a formal warning. If you interrupt us, then I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Okay? Let us.
Let the record show you not.
Ms. Holcraft.
I'm leaving. Let the record show I can't speak.
That's not what the record showed. I said that you could. We're discussing right now. Okay. So if everybody looks at our agenda, the agenda says right on there that we're going to be reviewing the complaint. That's what we are. So, and this is exactly what happened at the last meeting. What happened at the last meeting, if you look at the agenda, the 109 Weber Road, we allowed the person to present their case.
Yes.
Then it was the review documents, then it was the debate, and then it was open comments.
Yes.
Ms. Alcott just doesn't want to wait for the open comment section.
Yes.
Yep.
So,
Rules have, meetings have rules.
did I
So you left
touch on all of your points that you were asking about?
Yeah, I think there's some issues that are arising that we can discuss.
Sure, what would you like to discuss?
I think, there's this, what is, considered, applicable by public hearing law versus open meeting law? And what are the rules that we're applying?
We're planning,
So an RDA definitely does require public hearing, right?
as a public hearing, correct.
Which requires posting the paper 2 weeks ahead.
Well, that's 5 days. Ms. Alcott, you can't interrupt our meeting.
Open meeting law violation.
Okay.
Let the record show that I
You
did.
need to leave, sir. You need to leave.
Bye-bye.
So, yeah, if we look at, it is, I'll tell you where it's at. It's Mass General Law.
So to have a public hearing for an RDA, we have to give 5 days notice. And just so everybody knows, what happened with 109 Weber Road is that we were scheduled at the police station, and then we got moved over to the library annex because there was an advisory committee meeting there. I spoke to Sarah about the legal ad, and the legal ad, she sent it over to the newspaper, but changed the address. They confirmed that they were scheduled to change the address, and they never did. So this fault was with the paper, not with us, not with Sarah. And even, let's like hypothetically that we did have the hearing, we have corrective actions that we can take. We could have told the applicant, the paper ad is wrong, we need to reschedule. Or we could say, you know what, we are past 21 days, go straight to DEP, you can bypass us, that's their right. So we had options. So for Mr. Wilcox to interrupt our meeting saying, no, because there was a legal ad issue, it has absolutely no merits, absolutely none.
Where do you get that number 5 days?
It is,
So, Mass General Law, Section 11, Part 1, Title 7, 48 says 14 days, not less than 14 days for a public hearing.
an RDA is going to be, it's going to be 5 days. I believe it's in our bylaws, and I also believe that it's, I'll get it for you. I can email it to you.
Yeah, we should definitely know that, though. I mean, does everyone else know that timeline, or?
It's 5 days. It's 5 days. It's definitely 5 days.
Well, that's in the zoning bylaws, then?
I'm not sure exactly where we're going to find the 5 days, but I will find out exactly where it states it in the law. And I even spoke to Mia on the with the DEP. Mia came here when we first formed because we were all brand new members. We didn't know anything, and she gave us books and stuff, which I could probably ask her. We get set for you. But the RDAs is 5 days. I think an NOI is going to have the NOI requires 2 publications to be the 2 weeks.
Okay. So that's outside of Mass General Law, open meeting laws, that's our own bylaws we're working on for that?
I'm not sure. I believe so, but I will get the answer for you. I don't have the answer for you right now, but I will get that answer for you.
Perfect. Trying to make sure, because I'm trying to do my due diligence on this.
Sure.
As far as that open meeting law, yeah, that's about it right there.
Okay.
I did have another question.
Sure.
So I did talk to Mike Siri, and the annex is not wheelchair accessible by open meeting law standards. That's the one thing that I was worried about. Because they can't use that unassisted. That's a key unassisted part of it.
Because they can't use the wheelchair ramp unassisted?
That's, yeah, that's like open to interpretation, I guess, but.
The question about the library annex being ADA compliant, I don't think that, first of all, that's not going to be, I spoke to the librarian, okay, and she said that by having the barn door open and having the handicap ramp out, that people with wheelchairs can access through the back, that is handicap accessible. Just like our building here, it has a ramp in the back.
Yeah.
So I have to go by that. And just for the record, this is the first time we've ever had a meeting over there.
Well, I'm just worried about issues like this coming up in the future.
Right. So I've sent this over to Kelly, our town administrator, who is also a municipal lawyer, and I sent it over to Karen, the secretary for the select board, and they both shot it back to me that that building is ADA compliant.
So Beth Coughlin's ADA coordinator, did she sign off on it then, or?
I don't know.
She called me and she was looking into it, but it's been used for years.
Decades.
Yeah, well, I know not for decades, because we only purchased the building 5 years ago or something like that.
Oh, okay. It's been used.
I even asked Mike, I said, Mike, shouldn't all town, the other buildings be ADA compliant?
They should be.
Yeah.
They should be.
It is.
He's like, well, I think so, but not necessarily, and, there wasn't even a whole lot of clarity there either, so.
So I think that the bottom line is very simple, is that,
We're not the only, there's
We're not right.
multiple groups
Right.
that meet there.
The other thing too is that, I reached out to the librarian to find out that the handicap ramp would be down. And our exposure on this, I mean, from a legal standpoint, is gonna be minimal. I mean, it's the first time we've ever met there. We were told by the librarian that the barn door would be open, the handicap accessible ramp will be down. Now, if that building is not ADA compliant, that is something that the town is gonna have to rectify.
I also just thinking about that building, it would be nice to have a sign somewhere that says
Where the ramp is.
where the ramp is,
Yeah.
just for.
I think that's what Beth asked, if we ever had a meeting there again, to put a sign out that says the ramp is on the side, but there
Just
could
make
be,
it obvious.
the town could put up something that's a little bit more permanent.
Correct.
Waterproof.
Yeah.
I think that would probably work a lot better. But there's been meetings that have been held there by multiple committees for
Correct. For
numerous years.
From numerous years,
There's
correct.
never been any complaints or problems before.
Right, and this is a question I asked Mr. Holcraft, because he said that the building wasn't ADA compliant. And I said, what is the problems with the building? He said to me, go figure it out. I mean, which is like, if our job is to be in the best interest of the townspeople, then it should be a collective effort and say, this is what's wrong, A, B, C, D, and then we can say, okay, we'll send that over. But like I said before, that's the first time we ever met there. The librarian said the ramp was down, and I have to trust what she's telling me to be true and accurate. I don't think she would be deceiving me in any way.
So, I just think about wasting our time.
Right.
Wasting everybody's time.
Well, right now, I've already decided that we're not gonna hold meetings here ever again. The meetings we're gonna hold are gonna be in the police station or right here in town hall. We're not gonna use that building again. One, it's very small. We have 7 members on our board before full. So the 7 of us, plus members of the crowd, it's gonna be too small for that room.
And with regards to, so you stated you're gonna handle this.
I will speak to Kelly again, but she already told me that the building is ADA compliant.
Beyond that, the whole entire complaint.
The new complaint?
Yeah.
Yes, I will.
Just the complaint, the previous complaint as well. So you spoke to the HERA?
I spoke to the Attorney General on the complaint we have right now that's on our agenda.
Okay, yeah.
This I haven't even looked at yet. But yes, I'm going to respond to that complaint. And what will happen is I'll do a formal response. Mr. Holcraft will get a copy. The Attorney General will get a copy. And then I will provide the commission with a copy, because it will be on our next meeting agenda to review the response and to get a closure on the complaint. So everybody will be able to see the response.
So I don't know about how everybody else feels. If we're looking at this from the perspective of the continuation of this relationship with Mr. Holcraft, I don't know if there'll be a resolution or if it'll keep going. So you look under meeting laws, he can file 5 times before mediation happens.
Okay.
Would it behoove us to consider escalating to mediation before that?
We could ask for that. We could. But we could take them at the merits that they are, because like you said on this complaint right here, it just doesn't live up to the standards of the breaking of the law. Or we could decide. We could decide how we want to handle them. And we anticipating more. I don't think that we could ask.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with asking.
Do you guys think it's going to stop?
Not knowing the past pattern of activities.
So that's kind of.
I'd rather deal with them as once we get to the 5. I'd rather do it that way rather than anticipate saying that, well, we're gonna, even though he says he's gonna keep hitting us with them, that's fine. I think we need to make sure that the threshold of the 5 is met, and then we can ask for it.
I'd rather wait for the 5 too.
Right, because we don't know. Because we could be sitting there asking for mediation, and we only get the 3. So I think we should take it to. one case at a time, until we get to that point. But I just want to remind the commission, we're at 5:55 and we have another meeting that has a space in actually 4 minutes. So, no, it's okay, don't apologize. Did you have any other concerns?
Of course I did, but not.
No, go ahead. We can give you another 2 minutes.
No, go ahead.
All right, you can send me an email, anything you want to put on the agenda, just send me a quick email and I'll see that it's on the agenda. Okay, so our last item is going to be agenda item number 6, which is going to be an adjournment of the meeting. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are officially adjourned at 5:56 p.m. Thank you, everybody, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Oh, no, good.
You can always call me or text me or email me, and I'll go through all those things, but I will get you that law. I have to tomorrow.
That's right, I'm just trying to put together my little book to.
But I'll also speak to me at DP and get you that book, which you gave us.
You can't look at that, so you look at it.
No, you guys can look at it right now. You can absolutely look at that right now. But we have to clear the table because the Board of Health has a meeting.
Is something like this is not
Okay.
considered something to take to executive session?
We only take stuff to executive session if there's going to be a lawsuit. Or we have to discuss legal strategy. I'm saying the Board of Health.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay.
Have a good night, guys.
All right, good night.
If you guys want to have Mike make a copy of that, you can. You can just take it with you tonight.
Yeah, I'll have to do
Who's doing it?
Hey, Candace, can you see that I can copy that? Or the original? Come on.
Make sure you file that open meeting law violation, Chris. Okay?
Excuse me, Mr. Holcraft?
I said, make sure you
Don't talk
file
to me.
that
Don't talk
open
to me.
meeting
Don't talk to
law
me.
violation.
Don't talk to me.
Do you understand?
Don't talk to
Do you
me.
understand
Who
me?
do you think you're talking to
A
right now?
lunatic.
A lunatic. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I'll talk to you anytime I want.
No, you will not.
You won't, I'm
Watch
talking
your
to you
mouth.
now. I'm
Watch
talking
your
to you
mouth.
now. Make sure you file that.
Don't
with
tell
the
me what to
AG.
do. You're not my boss.
Make sure you do it
Don't
with the
tell me what to
AG.
do.
Make sure you
Public
do it.
hearing at 6, so can we not do that?
I'll talk to you anytime I want.
Fine.
No, I don't want, it says, it has a meeting to the board in front
No,
of
it
it.
doesn't.
It's right there.
No?
Yeah.
I got more coming for you.
Well, I look forward to them.
I'm gonna get.
Piece of paper would be fine.
What are you looking for?
Oh, a sign-in sheet. I'm gonna go get a piece of paper. We're just.
You want a blank piece of paper? Take it. Do you want line? I have line. It makes it easier. Your choice.
It doesn't matter. That's good. Thank you.
Hey, Mike,
Yes.
can I get a copy of that? I love the shirt.
Thank you.
Does that say Merry Christmas? Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. I'll sign it. I'll give it to you in a few minutes. Or I'll give it to him. Oh, yes, Madam Chairman,
This is,
we're recording.
Yeah.
I forgot to tell you.
All in favor, open.
Hi.
Okay, so this is a public hearing regarding 12 Pleasant Street for Gay Woman Gold for Title V repair of a local upgrade approval for his proposed septic absorption system. Does not meet the required setback of a property line. It's supposed to be 10 feet. This is at 5 feet. The reason for that is because this is a repair to the system, so Title V changed it a couple years ago from having a 5-foot setback requirement to a 10-foot setback requirement. So now, if you're repairing a septic system that was just 5 feet, you would need a local upgrade approval for that. So that's the purpose of this hearing. Do I have anybody in the audience? Is
Yes, I
it
do.
Green Hill Engineer or I did?
So I have a check for you. There's the green cards, mailing.
Yep.
I only have one full plan to show.
I have a second one, so.
So again, it's just a septic repair. It's a Presby septic system. It's an alternative system. It's better treatment than a conventional stone and pipe system. There's really no other area in the property to adequately build a septic system this size. We put them in on multiple occasions, this close and even closer, with no issues, so I don't see any issues with it at all. It's kind of a formality just to have a public hearing. I don't know if any abutters are here for this.
Comments from you, Christine? I don't have an issue with it. I think it's pretty standard,
Yeah.
but it does require the hearing, so.
Sometimes.
Any comment, Chris?
Yeah, so the reason that we're here on this hearing is because this is basically grandfathered in because the previous times for this location was that they had that setback is what he's asking for right now in the variance, correct?
Yeah, I mean, they're not replacing the septic system with a new system, it's a
Title-
repair.
Title V says that if you're closer to X number of feet to the property line, it's allowable and the Board of Health can allow it and permit it. It's a formality to have a public hearing in case any of the abutters have any concerns about the property line.
Oh, there's nobody here.
So is there any possible impacts to public health for the variance?
No.
No, this is an improvement, because right now the system's in disrepair. and
Okay.
It needs to be repaired.
Yeah, it's a failed septic system.
Okay.
It's not broke out on the ground, but it will at some point.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, so I'll hear a motion to grant the local upgrade approval for 2 variances. 310 CMR 15.211, section, subset 1, for the proposed septic absorption system does not meet the required setback from a property line. Board of Health granting 5 feet.
Did you need that motion? Or do we have to?
Well, I'm just,
I'll give you the motion.
Okay. I'll second it.
Thank you very much.
any further discussion?
No.
Okay. Actually, was there anybody in the audience that wanted to make comments on this before we vote? All in favor?
Aye. we took care of A and B, right? Did we just combine it all into one?
It's the two, yeah.
Okay, all right.
It's just on two property
Okay.
lines,
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we got,
kind of like back in the corner.
okay, I just wanna make sure we dotted all the Ts.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion was made in second, did,
To close the hearing, all in favor?
aye.
Okay, so now review of minutes from 12/13/23 and 1/10/24. I could not get to the 1/24 minutes, so those will have to be reviewed at the next meeting.
I'm ready.
So the December 13th minutes?
Make a motion to approve the December 13 minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to amend them. it says administrative 1A, the chair handed out the rules pertaining to the involvement of public participation. At this time, board member Keller objects to the rules not being voted by the entity of the board. Did you both agree that the chair made the rules? And a member of the audience votes against him, it is the duty of the chair to fulfill. After the rules were submitted, I had asked if I could ask a question about the rules, and I was told no. I'd like that to be in the formal minutes, because that's actually what happened in our meeting. So I'd like to make a motion that we include that Mr. Kelleher asked if he could ask a question about the rules, and he was told no.
So the motion on the floor is to approve the minutes. I second that. Any further discussion?
Yes, there's discussion. I find it appalling that I can't get a second to a motion on something that factually happened during meeting minutes, and we're gonna hide that from the public, the people of Brookfield. It's very disheartening that this happens over and over, that we leave out important information. That's my discussion.
Motion's good.
I just think it's a personal issue for you. It's not really pertinent to the meeting.
I appreciate your perspective on that, your opinion. I think it's important if a board member says, can I ask a question about new rules, and they're told no, that it should be included in the minutes.
I don't know if I agree that that's
Yeah, I don't.
that was the reality, so I.
Would we like to defer this for further review?
No,
No, 'cause
No.
we're
moving on.
12,
Okay.
13 minutes.
Okay.
I'm in favor.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
And the 1:10:24 minutes.
I'm good.
I'm still reading it. Okay, I'd like to have something added. It's gonna be page 4, public comments, number 4, with Dave Holdcraft. It seems like that we're quoting him almost verbatim on word for word of what he said, but we are leaving out one of the most important parts of what he said. He said that you're up here on this board making motions, making dictations for our town people, and you're not even in a good mental health state. You need your dog to keep you stable. I'd like that's omitted from the meeting minutes. And we're quoting him almost word for word on everything else, but we're leaving out the part that where he said, I need to have my dog to keep me stable.
I don't think it's quoted word for word.
It's pretty much is.
So it's summed up.
Mr. Hall says,
What do you want added?
I would like it added in the minutes that where it says right here, it goes, Holcraft went on regarding statements Kelleher made about his mental health and expressed concerns just before the meeting. What we're missing right there is that Mr. Holcraft said that I need to have my service dog in order to keep me stable. He's actually given a thumbs up, so he's concurring with that. Mr. Holcraft, I'd like to have it noted for the record, Mr. Holcraft gave a thumbs up. So he's indicating that is factually correct.
You want that added?
I do want it added that when he says his, when he says his, it says that I need a service dog to keep me stable. Yeah, I want it added because it was stated in a derogatory way.
If I
What's
add,
that?
I mean,
Excuse me?
You have said you would die without her.
That meeting I said that?
Look, can we not get into those kind of discussions?
I don't
No, but
I-
we're gonna put it,
There's things that have been said, like swears that have been hurled at me and things like that.
and that was put in there.
But it wasn't put in there specifically verbatim.
No, it wasn't put in there
Right?
verbatim,
So,
but when he swore at me, we didn't put it in the meeting minutes. I'd like to know, I'd like to know.
I actually don't remember him ever doing that to you.
I gave you guys the video.
I'm not gonna
I
go.
gave you guys the video. I gave you the video.
I didn't hear it though. I watched it. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear him swear at you.
Point of order, Madam
So-
Chair.
What is your point?
He's lying. I never swore at him. I never swore at anybody in this
This-
town.
Okay,
that's not a
taken.
violation
of the law.
Not taken.
Okay.
Yeah, let's just move to, keep to the minutes here. I'm reading the paragraph again, Chris. You're gonna have to make a motion with exactly what you want.
I'd like to make a motion that we include Mr. Holcroft's statement that he stated that I need to have a service dog in order to keep me stable.
Where do you want that exactly?
I believe he said it, if my memory serves me correct, he says that I'm mentally unwell, I shouldn't be up here making motions for the townspeople, and that I should resign, and that I need to have a dog to keep me stable. So wherever you want to put it in there is fine with me. Put it after his mental health is fine.
So, how about,
How about right after his mental health?
Miller has made about his mental health and
And that I needed to have a service dog in order to keep me stable.
needs a service dog. Second it.
Thank you, I appreciate the second.
Any further discussion?
Not on that, but I do have an issue on page.
Can we just take a vote?
Do we approve the entire thing, or do we approve?
Oh, okay, all right, I'll let that, okay.
All right, so I don't know how to address this, so I'm just gonna say frankly, on page 2, October 11th meetings, the part that's in bold, it says the chair made a motion to defer and review the minutes until the next meeting, seconded by Ms. Perella, voted in favor, Ms. Keller voted no. At our last meeting, you said that there was a motion on the floor that we made, that you would rewrite them, but it's actually
I
factually.
did make a motion to rewrite them, and by the time this board has difficulty getting conciseness of the motions because it went around like 3 times. I definitely said the things that I said and made a motion to that effect. I didn't write this section of the minutes. This is from Pam, but I didn't change it.
This was written by Pam?
Most of it was written by Pam. She had started it at the time that she resigned.
When, how did Pam send this to you?
In an email.
How come I didn't get a copy of that? I did an open meeting, I did an open records request.
Well, I don't know when she sent it compared to when you made your request. I gave you everything from the November meeting, or October, I don't remember if it was October or November, but.
Well, I'd like to get a copy of Pam's notes on what she created from or what she emailed over to you, so I could take a look at that.
I'll send that to you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So, the concern I have is that it's, in this meeting minutes, it's actually correct. You know, this is what happened. The chair did make the motion to defer a review, and you actually said she just wants to do a further review. And that was a point of contention for our last set of meeting minutes, so I don't know how to deal with that, but we contradict each other. If we say in these meeting minutes that that's what the motion was,
Well,
and then our previous set, we say it
we're
was
gonna
a different one.
we're gonna,
like I said, I don't know how to deal with that. We're just gonna have two sets of minutes that are gonna contradict each other, because in this, if we approve them as they're written in here, as
We
they
have
are.
not approved two different sets of minutes, though.
No, I'm saying that these meetings, we say hypothetically we approve these, right, as they're written? Then what's gonna say is that you made a motion to defer to further review. But our last meeting, it was stated that the motion was to rewrite. So we're gonna have two sets of minutes from two different meetings, are gonna say that the motion is the opposite of each other. That's what I'm
And then
trying to raise.
We'll clarify it in this meeting.
So you're gonna amend these meeting minutes to say that the motion was not that?
No, I'm gonna make the meeting minutes reflect the meetings, and then this meeting will cover this conversation.
No, I know that that's gonna cover this conversation. What I'm talking about is that these meeting minutes say that the motion was made by A. Our previous one says it was made by Z. So, I mean, they're totally opposite. So I just don't know how we deal with that. So I'm just
Well,
bringing
our
it to
last
your
meeting,
attention.
where you're talking about that discussion, we don't have minutes for yet.
Because those were from one,
Alright, let's move on.
right, okay.
For?
Okay, right,
So
right, okay.
I will-
So you're gonna write those meeting minutes to concur with this?
Well, I'm gonna cover what we said in 124,
Okay.
right? And if it's an error, it's an error, but and then in this meeting, 228, we'll cover this conversation.
I'm not worried about tonight's conversation. I'm just worried about this.
Well, every meeting conversation
I
is
understand
gonna be
that.
covered
I understand that.
in the appropriate meeting. I'm not gonna change a meeting that took place last month to say the words were not said. I mean, I said them, so
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that.
I would like to make, wait, nope, we're good. Are we good?
There was already a motion on the floor.
Okay, so,
I think it's already been seconded.
okay.
So all in favor as amended?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, so I don't have a document yet for the RFP for the solid waste management contract. I have not gotten authorization from Kelly yet to be able to have KP Law review and prepare that RFP for us. So that will be, we'll need to defer that to the next meeting. Move on to your open meeting law complaint, number 6, Mr. Keller. Read your complaint, or
I'm sorry, what was it?
we're on your 6th meeting law
Yep.
complaint.
I understand, yep.
Do you want to read your complaint?
You guys read it, right? We've all read it, right?
We've all read it.
Okay.
So, I started drafting a review. Christina, do you have any comments yet, or do you want me to just start reading what I have?
You can start.
Okay. So regarding the statement in your complaint, you're saying that your complaint itself is an extension of a prior complaint that was filed and currently under review. So the board defers to the AG's office as to whether, it's valid to extend complaints that were previously made. We can't decide if.
I'm not extending a complaint.
Okay, I'm gonna read yours. This complaint.
So I'd like to raise a
this-
point of
This
order.
complaint is.
I'd like to raise a point of order.
What? What's your point?
My point of order is that, are we deciding as a board how we're gonna handle the complaint? Because
We're
that's,
reviewing it.
we're reviewing it, that's what we're
Our
doing right now.
job is to review it within 14 days of when you submit it.
I understand that. So that's what we're doing right now, is reviewing?
Yes.
Okay, because it looks like that you have a prepared statement already.
Yeah, I drafted something.
So is that
Doesn't
gonna
mean
be, is that gonna be our official response?
I don't know.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if it is or it isn't. If it's all the content in there, it can be.
Okay, let's be transparent for the town and hear both sides.
Alright. So, in your complaint, you say the complaint is an extension of a previously filed and currently under review complaint regarding similar actions by these members, where you accuse us of repeated and concerning violations of the Mass Open Meeting Law, specifically me and Ms. Bradella. So, I'm just going to say that, I don't know that extending something that's already been filed and under review is acceptable to the AG's office?
It's not asking to be extended.
You're just saying that this complaint is an extension, so
No, I'm not saying it's an extension.
your sentence, this complaint is an extension of a previously filed and currently under review complaint regarding similar actions by these members. So I don't know that you can do that, so I'm just making that statement, Chris. I think it's frivolous, I think
Of course.
it's vexatious.
I'm sorry,
complaint.
it's what?
It's vexatious.
Okay.
And this is your sixth, so you know you're a habitual complainant. You have, you know, we've asked for a mediation, and the AG's office spoke to me and told me that they no longer do mediations. They say they don't really work well, so that they're going to prioritize the review of our the complaints on this board. So I just want to say, as a board member, you know, I just urge you to move forward and help us carry out the work of the board for the people of Brookfield. And so, going on to your next paragraph, you claim that there are private debates held in open meetings. I disagree.
Madam Chair, are you reading my complaint, or are you reading looks like you're reading your statement?
I'm reading what I have for notes, yep.
Okay, so,
What's wrong with that?
no, I'm sorry, I want to clarify what you're reading, because you said that you were reading
It's
my.
a draft statement.
Okay.
It's mine that I drafted, and I haven't
That's fine.
not sent to you yet.
I know,
We're reviewing.
okay. I'm just trying to find out if you were reading my complaint, or are you reading your draft?
Well, I have them both here.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify which one you were reading.
Well, I'm summarizing your paragraph. You didn't want to read yours, so. I disagree that there's been any private discussions held during our meetings. First, there was no October 10th meeting. There was an October 11th meeting, well beyond 30 days. And I looked through my husband's video of that meeting, and the only time where I could think of anything that you would have construed that way was when I pointed to and smiled at a notebook that Christina had that was clearly your daughter's notebook, because it was some kind of cartoon all over it. And there was no discussion. Everything else was clearly audible. And if you didn't hear something, I would just ask you to please simply state that and ask for it to be repeated for you. During the January 10th meeting, Ms. Pradella asked me and then the clerk for clarification about a meaning of a word that was contained in the minutes during the review. Before the clerk could even answer, you demanded to know what was being discussed, and there was no discussion, and Ms. Pradella quickly showed you the stated part of the minutes where she was asking for clarifying what a word meant that she wasn't familiar with the term. So again, I reviewed my husband's video to listen, and the entire meeting is audible. So to me, to then file an open meeting law complaint about this just further shows the frivolous nature of these complaints. So again, I'm going to ask you to try and move forward and be a productive member for the sake of the town of Brookfield. And I would ask also that we not burden the resources for the Office of Open Government with these type of complaints. And we're not required to make recordings of meetings, but the fact that you want to record meetings to live stream on YouTube as part of your business is not our board's business. So whether your equipment can pick up every word I say, I can't attest to that. I know that I watched a different video and every word I said was on that video. So there's no intent. I think I could agree from both of us that we intended to be unheard during a meeting. I have seen you take text messages and things during meetings and use your phone. You probably shouldn't do that, because that appears that you're not engaged, and maybe you're going to miss something when we're discussing.
I disagree with that. I've seen
All right,
many
then
board
you
members.
disagree.
I got to look stuff up on
I'm
Google.
not done.
I have to look up
I'm
stuff.
not done. And I just feel that you're picking on and scrutinizing us in a deliberate and dilatory manner, rather than just trying to get along and prioritize the work of the board and not personal issues with different people. So, in summary, I just say that, I disagree that there's a violation of the open meeting law by either Ms. Pradella or myself, and if this matter is advanced or filed a complaint, then I'm just gonna respectfully request that the AG's office prioritize the review along with all the other prior complaints made by you dating back as far as June 2023 so that we can obtain a resolution and move forward as a board. That's my statement. So I'm going to leave it to Christina now to say whatever else she might want to say.
I have nothing prepared like that, but I completely disagree, and I don't think we have any side conversations. I don't think any open meeting law violation has been made.
Okay, so my perspective on this is very simple. This is not the first, not the second time, but the third time that you guys have had private conversations. And when I say private, it means that you guys are talking about anything that I cannot hear. You guys sit incredibly close to each other during the meetings. And when you were talking to Maureen and then the clerk, I said to you, hey, what are you guys talking about?
And I told you right
But
away.
let me finish, please. I allowed you guys to finish. Please allow me to finish, okay? And you said, what? Am I not allowed to do that? And I said, no, you can't. You can't have a private conversation.
I didn't say it with attitude like that, but okay, I
I don't
honestly
even think you
didn't
said
know.
that.
Okay, so this is, like I said, this is not the first time. And I made a motion that night that we address this, that we say we don't have private conversations, that we be inclusive. And the motion failed because they didn't get a second.
Well, here's
It's
the
just-
thing, Chris.
Please let me finish. I allowed you to finish. Please.
Well, 1 minute.
Okay? And for sitting there and say, let's deal with the phone. A lot of board members will look stuff up on Google. I've got to look stuff up on Google at the last second. And I have every right to use my phone. Sit there and say I'm distracted by it is without merit. The 3 times that I'm complaining about you guys having side conversations, I was not on my phone. When you were talking about her notebook, I was actually speaking. And you guys were talking. I don't know what
I didn't
you're
talk
talking about.
about the notebook, I just pointed at it.
You guys said something. The audio didn't pick it up. And to sit there and say, oh, this is your 6th complaint and you're a habitual complainer, it's nonsense. It doesn't even pass the lab test because not once has this body attempted to resolve it. We've never said, hey, you know what? This is what we're going to do. It's not going to happen again. We can tell the AG we're good to go. We don't need a further review.
That's not
And
true.
every single time, the responses are combative, they're
That's
argumentative,
another chance.
and yeah, I listened to you. Now I'm wrapping it up. The Attorney General instructions on open meeting law complaint states that you know how the response is to be done. And up until the last complaint, we never followed the protocol. Never did.
No,
You always came in with a response on your own.
You
It's not true.
have,
I have sent in a thing on behalf of the board.
for
Right,
3 of them.
you're correct on that one.
For
Right.
3 of them, yeah. And you say things as if they're fact, they're your opinions, and then you're always telling us, but no, I've read the instructions. I've had personal conversations with the Attorney General's office, the Attorney General, a director who is overseeing these. And, you know, when you make complaints that I send them certified letters, you know, to the address that you put on the complaint, she's like, you know, you're following the law, so just keep following the law.
Ms. Blowpack, the reason I asked you not to send it to my house is because you posted on social media my address, where I lived before, who's my landlord. You're sending registered letters to my house to find out what
Stop.
time I'm home.
Stop.
Why? I asked you not to my home address is off limits.
Your
You
document.
can email it to me. You can email it to me.
Your document has it on there and it's not private. You don't have the expectation of having privacy on an open meeting law complaint.
I'm not asking for privacy. I'm asking that you leave my home residence out of bounds. There's no reason for you to send a certified letter to my house to find out what time I'm home. Find out who else lives in my household.
Nope, that's.
Waste the town's money. It costs $9 to send that. Why not send it by email, which is free?
What do you care?
I will tell you why I don't send it by email, because before when I sent it by email, you sent me an essay in an email, and that's against the open meeting law.
You did too.
I did not send you an essay, I sent you the response.
You-
And because and then you took it that way, I talked to the Attorney General's office, and I said, you know what, I'm not gonna email him, I certainly won't see him in person, so my only other option is to mail it, and she said to mail it, follow the law.
Oh, well, that's.
I mailed it.
Okay,
So, enough bickering,
where do we go moving forward with this?
You wonder where we go moving forward?
No, wait, I wanna say
she's
one more
speaking.
thing. We have, and I'm pretty sure it's on video, we've had some good conversations at the end of meetings of how we're gonna resolve and move forward. We've done it several times. And so that's incorrect. We have discussed how we can work together, your quote, do God's work, and,
Keep throwing that in my face.
well, no, like, we have, and we've made points, and we have discussed, and it never happens. So how do we move forward?
You know what, I suggest that
Answer
before.
the question, yeah.
It always boils down to the first complaint, is in my mind. And the first complaint was that we left out that entire section about what we debated about the beavers in our first meeting. We hide that from the town of Brookfield. They don't get to see that conversation
So
in our
this
minutes.
is the problem, that
No, no,
you're
no,
going
no, no,
back.
no,
You
let me-
don't just go move
Let
forward.
me
That's
finish-
the problem.
No,
Guys,
let me
guys,
finish the sentences.
guys.
Let me finish the sentence, okay? Because when I said that, when I did not go for a further review on that, we got along. But as soon as I said to you guys, hey, listen, I'm down to the deadline, I need to either get this resolved or further review, you guys pushed me off and I asked for further review. As soon as I went through that further review, it's been nothing but hostility.
No, I said you could ask for an extension. I said
I
you
can't.
should, if you want something changed, deliver the language that you want changed, but you were very generalized in that. You kept saying we're talking about beavers. We actually were not talking about beavers, Chris. We were talking about moving forward. You were talking about your feelings. We both said,
I
we
disagree.
hear you. She said, we hear you. And I said, in the spirit of moving forward, that in the future, and you were a new board member then, so it was like, in the spirit of moving forward, in the future, do not accuse me of breaking the Wetlands Protection Act when I issued an emergency beaver permit. That's the only thing about beavers that was. That whole email that you sent originally saying that I made some violation because I issued an emergency beaver permit. And you were wrong on that, and I know you were.
Ms. Lopez,
So,
was that
stop.
on our agenda?
Stop.
Was that on our agenda?
We were talking about moving forward.
We were talking about the preparedness plan, where I said 4 times
Yes,
I didn't
we
care
were
about
talking
titles.
about that, and you were getting into the titles and all
I
that.
said I didn't care. 4 times I said I don't care about
I
titles.
know,
Okay,
I know
without
that's
going
what,
back
excuse
to
me,
the past, how do we move forward?
excuse me, please.
How do
Let
we
me-
move forward?
Please, let me finish.
How about
My
we move?
statement, as I'm the chair, I want to finish the statement,
Let's not
please.
keep going back in the past.
So, I would just say, please, let's move forward. I can't, this is,
You know how we move
This is
forward?
not-
This is how we move forward. I give you a solution on how we move forward. How about we can say to the Attorney General, we resolve this complaint on our own because we came up with a solution that we're not gonna have private conversations. Not that,
We've already said
not that it said that we did, okay? I'm gonna extend an olive branch. Not saying that we did, that we're not going to, okay? That we're not gonna have private conversations that all board members are gonna be able to participate in
because
the
I
same
want to
conversation.
finish my statement. I asked
Okay.
to finish what I was saying. I said, you wanted us to change language to say that, you weren't yelling or whatever, and to add the discussion about beavers, which we disagreed with what you were saying. Okay, we both disagreed with it, and you don't respect the fact that we both disagreed with what you were saying. And so you take it as being unfair, but we just didn't agree with you. You don't always get everybody to agree with you. You have
I
to
understand
learn
that.
that.
I understand that. I
So,
don't anticipate
if
everybody
you
would agree
wanted
with
to
me.
move on, and in the spirit of moving forward with the board, I'm just gonna remind you, you're the one who contacted the AG's office to move it forward, not me.
That was my only recourse.
Okay.
So,
So-
but-
I'm gonna
I
grab this olive
it's
branch
fine.
here,
hold
okay?
on a second, I want to just make a comment on that. I just want to know that why that whole discussion that we had, whether you call it a beaver or emails, why is that not in our minutes? We just debated that for what, like 15, 20 minutes? But we hide that from the people of Brookfield don't get to see, have anything to know what we were talking
Because
about.
we summarized the discussion. It's not, the point of the minutes is not to say everything that was said. It's to summarize what happened in the meeting. And I think it was well summarized. She believed it was well summarized. We finalized those minutes, and that ship sailed many months ago.
Okay,
Chris,
well, it's
okay?
still under investigation by the AG's office.
It's under, for determination of the open meeting law. It's
Right.
not, the wording of the minutes is not under investigation. So,
Not the wording, the exclusion of the thing we were talking about. If we talk about something for 15 minutes, it should be in the meeting minutes.
it's in there,
So all this
but it's
verbatim
just
has
not
to
the
be in the
level
minutes?
that you
No,
think
not
it is.
verbatim, not verbatim.
Okay, so enough.
So we're gonna grab this olive branch where we will have no sidebar conversations. If you can't hear something that we're discussing, you just say, can you repeat that? I can't hear you. Don't
Okay.
assume we're having a sidebar, okay? that has to
You don't
be.
have to talk to me like I'm
No, I'm
like I'm
just saying
challenged.
to say this clear. I'm not trying to talk to you like you're challenged at all. I'm just trying to lay this out clear so we can just put it to bed
Right.
and move forward. That's it. I'm not trying to talk to you any other way.
Right, I appreciate that.
Okay. So can you be in agreement that if you think we're having a little side conversation, like you just, maybe because you can't hear, you just say,
Sure.
can you please say that louder?
Well, can I make a suggestion? Just how you were just talking right now, right?
You
No, just-
critique everything.
I'm not
You
critiquing.
can't.
I'm saying yes. I said
I'm
yes.
getting frustrated. I'm
I
sorry.
said yes, but what I'm asking you from now, from this point, I said yes to your question. But what I'm going to ask onto that is, can you talk in the same level that you're talking right now?
I don't want to talk in this
Well,
level.
no, I mean, like,
want to talk
like-
like myself.
Right, but if I can't hear you because you guys are having a side conversation and it's whispering, I miss
Okay,
it.
yes,
then-
I will do my best, but
Well,
I
thank you.
am a soft speaker in general. You
Sure.
have to
As
understand
I
that,
am too,
okay?
but
Right.
I get it from my mom.
But if you're leaning into Ms. LePack, or you're leaning into the clerk, and I'm over here, then you know that there's
Okay,
a
yeah.
chance I'm not going to hear it.
Yeah, I'm totally.
just say that you
do
can't
my
hear.
best.
So just say that you can't hear. And
I did.
and we will,
I did.
okay.
I did at that meeting. I
Yeah,
said,
and she
And I did
showed you,
respond
so,
right
but
away.
then you made a complaint about it, so.
because it was the third time.
Oh my god, I
All
literally,
right, but, all right.
So we're resolved then, right?
are we?
We'll
If
be
we
fine.
agree that we're not going to have side conversations, I think we're resolved.
Perfect, so,
So then I'd like to make a motion that we, that our official response is that to the Attorney General without admitting any wrongdoing, that the board has resolved the complaint, no further review is required, that the board is not going to be having any side conversations. Boom.
And that you, if you think that there's a side conversation, that you will ask for us to speak up, because, or better yet, assume that we're not having a sidebar conversation and
Right.
just,
And you guys
ask
are going to
it.
speak in your normal tones.
We will try, I
Normal
know.
tones, just normal tones, it doesn't have to be
my
loud, just normal
it's
tone.
not
I
that.
don't like yelling, I don't like hearing it.
So that's fine.
Okay. So, I will add that information and summarize that and send off.
By email, please.
All right, I'm gonna send it by email, please don't respond to the email. Just don't respond to it. Or if you respond to it, respond just to the AG's office, don't.
They CC'd both of us for the record.
They do, and
They
they
did.
can, but
Right.
just when you go and respond,
We both were, we both were.
I didn't respond to you. Okay, so moving on. This is the LRPHC monthly report. This is the January report, and February's not quite over yet, so we'll get the February report next month. They did one routine food inspection in January and one nuisance inspection. They issued 3 septic installer permits. One was for Soper Construction, one was for Slims and Perfume, Perfume, and Ciela, Chesla. I'm gonna write that out so I can remember. Construction Corporation. They issued 3 callers permits. That was also Slims and Perfume, and Republic Services and Almond Sun Septic. And they had issued 6 food establishment permits. That was the Clam Box, Oakham Brewing, Oakham Farm Estate Catering, and Brookfield Elementary School's cafeteria, and also the Brookfield Congregational Church. And 4 mobile food trucks were approved in January. That was Joey Cannoli, Uncle Joey's Cannoli, Savage Wraps, Thai Place, and Moshmellows. And 1 temporary food permit was for No Coast Kitchen. They did a food inspection for Dollar General. Dollar General has since got their permit, so that was, they found the expired permit on the premises when they went there early in January, and they got their permit since then, I can tell you that. For a nuisance, there was a nuisance complaint at 21 Post Road regarding discharge of effluent or foul odor smell. and when they inspected it on January 30th, the inspector didn't observe a violation, but the parking lot was not plowed, so the snow may have affected the results. So she said that she'd be going back out there to reassess, and I just haven't heard back since then, so I can follow up with her. And for septic, no real changes. I'll go through all the plans that were under review at the time. It was Ford Capello Road was under review. Some of these may be approved by now. 16 Schoolhouse Crossroad was approved and under construction. 18 Schoolhouse Crossroad was under review. 10 Oak Ave as-built COC was received, and 103 Lake Road was approved and under construction. 54 Town Farm Road was under review. 119 Town Farm Road was approved and under construction. 139 Fiskdale Road was approved and under construction. 141 Fiskdale Road was under review. And 14 Rice Corner Road, formerly Lot F, was under review, and I know that one was since approved just recently. And then for the reportable diseases, they're going to start, they email these out every month, but there were none in January, and no communicable diseases reported in that month. And so I did get the epidemiologist report for Brookfield COVID cases for 2023. There were 48 total cases back in 2023. And so that is the LRPHC report. The only other update I have from them is that we're currently meeting, all the towns are meeting together, the chairs of boards, to review the intermunicipal agreement. There was, this is for, it's called the Public Health Excellence Shared Service Grant. There's been some issues across this particular coalition for grant language. This predates my time on the board, but the original IMA, has specific language around the grant. You're not supposed to get rid of your budget, basically, for your agents. You're supposed to, this is supplemental, so this is to add to the services, and so it's a shared service agreement. And I think the direction that Leicester Regional Public Health Coalition originally sent out had that piece confused, because a lot of the towns in the coalition had zeroed out their budget for their agents, and ours actually was one of those. And I know the Mass Public Health is concerned about that. So we did review our budget in January, and we did have that added in the line, and I will definitely reach out to the advisory board to make sure, that there's no idea to try to take that out, because that would go against the grant. And they did give me a draft of the IMA that I'm reviewing, and if you'd like a copy of it, but this isn't to go to anyone yet. This is the first draft, and basically the whole group of the coalition reviews it and puts comments in, and then they iterate the draft. And once all the comments are adjudicated, they will submit it, and then that will go to Callie for review, because it's signed off at the town level, at her level. So that will take place probably in the next few months. And let me know if you want a copy of this now, but this is the first draft, if you want to read it.
I do, I'd like to get a copy of it.
Okay, so you can actually have that copy if you like.
Did you need a copy?
I have another copy of it, so that's fine. And can I just make sure, can I just say that again, just real quick? I just want to make sure nothing else is stuck behind there. Nope, that's the whole thing. Yep. There you go, have that. And so that's the latest, and then the only other update I have from Lester is that Francis, the director, quits. He resigned last week. So they're down an agent and the director, and I know that the Leicester town administrator was going to post the position soon, and so I'll keep you posted at our next meeting on anything that transpires on that front. food, septic, anything, yeah, Mackenzie's kind of holding the fort down. Miriam is the coordinator, so if you have any problem getting responses or anything, email Miriam. And then, yeah, so,
Is her email in the?
yeah, you'll find it in
Okay.
there. You just start typing her name. She's the coordinator. Megan is the
Yeah.
administrative assistant, so that's
Yeah.
basically who's there right now, so. Yeah, things will get busy as spring approaches, so, hopefully they'll have some luck getting some folks to join.
Can I ask something about LRP? Yeah. Do we have all of their, applications on the website?
Whose applications?
Lester's, because I was told they denied somebody because they had a old Brookfield one, but it's not on our website, the year-long food truck permit.
Our food truck permit is on the website. The one
But
that's,
they did not accept it because it was not Lester's or something.
that was Francis, I think he was mistaken about, he
Okay.
was trying to get everyone to use their form, but I told him that we would have to agree to that as a board, that we're not just gonna change our form. And when he wants to submit forms that have our name on the top, in addition to Lester and the other towns.
So what we have on the website
we
is,
can,
yeah.
so when he wants, when he's quit now, but
right,
when they want to submit those, we would then take them and vote them in as a board, whether we want to use their forms or our forms, but they should be using our forms, and they are.
well,
So
Lester denied it because it,
that was
A mistake.
a mistake by Francis, and it's kind of mute now.
okay, so I think it was recent, so I'm gonna let this person know to.
Let them know. I will call Mackenzie. I need to talk to her about a couple of things, so I'll try to get in touch with her and just make sure there's clarification on that, because Megan probably doesn't.
Yeah, no,
No,
she was
she's
just like
not.
the messenger, yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'll follow up, but right now, the approved ones, the only one that we have to, I noticed that there's only a mobile food review plan. We need the permanent plan that was part of that package. I think that got missed being posted. And the other thing that we need, there's like a few more that we need to review and update. And that includes the temporary permit application, I think. So
Okay, great.
I'll try to put that on our agenda for the next meeting. We got a handful of things to get through, but we'll continue to work at updating those forms over time.
So yeah, the spring coming, that would probably affect,
Yeah, well, food permits
Yeah.
expire at the end of December, so there's some, how we can get them, so, yeah.
but if people are applying for the season, we gotta get the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, I wanna make the temporary food permit, topic for
Okay.
next, because the pricing and just the way it's done, but I need information from the agents
Yeah.
on how the food code interprets that, so,
Okay.
I don't wanna present it here and then it not be the correct information, so. Any other comments or thoughts on, Leicester Regional before we move on?
Yeah, so just on Leicester Regional, just so you know, give you guys an update on 5 Green Street. I CC'd the water superintendent on the email. So he said that the Title V agent did reach out to him, and they will be going over there. So,
Okay.
so he's in the loop on it, and that should be resolved. I haven't heard back from him, but so Lester knows about it, the water superintendent knows about it, and he has the contact information.
All right, well, if Mackenzie sees that, this is Type 5.
It wasn't Mackenzie, it was somebody else. They give it to somebody else. I don't know. I don't
Oh,
remember.
Shelley.
That maybe.
Okay, so, yeah, Shelley's a Title V engineer, so, both Mackenzie and Shelley do some Title V work. So if she finds a failed septic, then they'll be in order to do, or if she observes symptoms of that, she can order inspection, and after the inspection's done, if it's failed, then they'll, would have to go through the process of repairing or replacing, so.
Yeah, I just want to let you guys know that it's being taken care of.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, we'll hear about it, it'll be in our next report, so. Okay, so, do we have, I did not receive any bids for the tree work. We have one bid.
None at all?
Is this from you, Rich?
It is.
Rich Chafee Construction.
A couple of people reached out, but
What was our deadline on this? Do you remember?
they extended it to today.
Today's the deadline?
Yeah.
I think it
Today
might
was the
win.
deadline at 6 o'clock, really. Um, one signature missing.
I'm sorry?
Signature missing.
Oh.
Is there just one copy of that?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a copy, but I'm waiting for Mark to sign it.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
It's not gonna phase me if you do that, so it's really not. So,
You talking to me?
I am talking to you.
Trust me then, if you were talking to me.
That's not gonna phase me, Ms. Hilka. Play, that's
What
just
did I
child's
do?
games.
Did I do anything to you?
Yeah, you're doing.
What am I doing?
Stop, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. Was this within our budget? Do we know what we had?
This is, remember we had met with, Tom.
Yeah.
Tom showed up tonight?
He is, he's
there.
here.
He's there. How are you?
I'm doing well.
We're not hanging on to this, how are you?
Tom, do you know how much we had for this project? Was there a set amount?
Yeah. Chris, I need that.
I need one page back from you.
The page you need.
So what? That one. That's,
It has
it's got his,
security number.
Oh, does it?
information on it, so.
Well, we could go into executive on that, so if we had to.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember, I'm gonna ask you a question, Tom, can you join us for a second?
Sure. Looks like our table's on this side tonight. We're inverted.
I've got about 5 minutes before I have to go to my son's team basketball practice, but happy to help.
Do you remember how much we had for the project?
Go ahead.
I, no, I don't.
Okay. That's my question.
I'm just saying we don't have this page.
It didn't come through.
What page?
It got stuck.
This page?
No, this page.
It got stuck in there.
It got
It must
Okay.
have pulled these sheets through. It would come from what account?
Let's see. I don't know. I think the thought is we needed to see how much money it was, and then at that point, we would need to look at your budget and see where the money can be found. The thought is your budget could cover something, or if whatever your budget couldn't cover, we would have to identify additional sources in order to be able to move this forward.
Yeah, I don't think we have a lot of budget.
This-
So,
Okay, then.
this is a 28,500 bid.
Mhm.
our DEP permit forbids any maintenance to go on between, I think it's like, I believe it's April to like July or August.
Okay,
Like
So-
the same period that where they won't mow the fields and things like that. They, there's some bird that nests.
okay, there's a period during which the work can't occur, and that's April 1st until either July 31st or August 31st.
Something like, yeah.
So in that range, so in the summer. Okay,
It's usually spring, summer, right on
so,
line.
okay,
So we're trying to get this done now because there's no foliage on
Yes.
the trees, so it makes the job a lot easier for the person doing it. And this quote would be expired before, that time anyway, you know, because it only lasts for so many months. So if we could, understand where the town may be able to get the 28.5 from,
Mhm.
as you had previously stated in
Yes.
our January meeting.
yes. Would you do me a favor?
Or December meeting.
Would you send an email to the members of the board? Let them know that this bid has come in with details of how much money you believe is available in the Board of Health budget in order to do this work, and identify how much additional funding you would need from the rest of the town budget in order to make this project happen. And also, please include, help make sure the other members understand that blackout date from April 1st until whatever it is in the summer, to help make clear that there's a benefit to urgency here. And that way we can do it. Unfortunately, we will not be able to discuss it tomorrow, but the select board is meeting on the 7th. I was trying to keep that meeting reserved for the advisory committee, but if this is given the likely urgency, I can try and squeeze that in.
Okay.
Can I ask Rich a question? Would you be able to do that work before the April the deadline? Okay.
Yeah, so I was at the site, I did a walk all along the whole perimeter, and, so I could observe the foliage and the trees and stuff, and for that area, yeah, they're mostly like sappy kind of trees that are sticking up. There's too many of them for the well testers to get on the property without having to go through Dan Ford's property. You know, Dan Ford's always given us permission, you know, and we're trying to resolve not having to request that a person allow the town to, you know, trespass.
We should have our own
We should have
access
our
and
own
not be
access.
reliant on someone's goodwill.
Yeah, and so, I did note that none of the trees are technically on the cover, or in the cover, so that's good, the cover's intact. And it's just that you wouldn't be able to get heavy equipment close to these trees, because you'd only be able to drive in through on the solar side, and that would be on the cover, so, the way, the topography of the land, it's kind of like a gully, and the road's right there, you know, so the person does have to go in with chainsaws and just cut it down flat. We're not in the business of like taking up stumps or anything like that, and they can chip it. I would also like suggest that, you know, ask the highway department, could the select board talk to the highway department to see if this is, you know, something that they could do?
They can't.
And we've heard that, but I've never got it in writing, so
I got
it'd be
it.
nice.
I got it.
You got it?
I sent a text over to Lindsay as I was trying to answer Chris's question, and it's not something that they can do.
Alright, that's the answer they gave me before, but I just wanted to verify that they could.
Yeah.
Okay.
My understanding it has to, there's some concern about liability and training certification.
Okay.
If I remember the discussion correctly.
Alright, well, alright, so we'll send over the information, I'll notify the select board, to understand like what money is in our account that we may be able to use and what money we would need.
Yeah, I would say the money in the account, all the money in the account is available to use. I'm relying on you to understand and say, of the, say, $50,000 remaining in the transfer station budget, we'll say, it's like, you're gonna need $40,000 to pay the rest of the expenses for the year, and therefore you're expecting $10,000 to be available for this project. because I think we're gonna rely on you to understand what demands there are on your budget between now and the end of the fiscal year.
The transfer station is a separate thing from this.
Yeah, the transfer station, yes, there's the Board of Health and there's the transfer station budget. Or there's a budget for the Board of Health and there's a budget for the transfer station. My understanding is that the budget of the transfer station is administered by the Board of Health, since the Board of Health operates the transfer station.
Right, but that, yeah, and that, this is not the transfer station, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
The transfer station is next to the landfill, it's not part of the landfill.
What I think it's fair to say is we can use that money, right?
Well,
So I just don't,
I
it's not clear to me if money that's set aside for the transfer station could be used to pay for tree work.
That would be a question for the experts on the administration of municipal finances, which I am not. But that's definitely, it's like, if you make clear that you're only looking at the Board of Health budget and that therefore you're not looking at transfer station, that will make, and you can just say, we don't know if the money in the transfer station budget could be used for this. You just put that question out there, that'll get it answered. If it is, well then that's more money that could be brought to bear on this project, or that's one source of funding for the shortfall. Would it be enough? I don't know, but
Yeah, I don't think we have $30,000 laying around. Our budget's pretty lean.
I would be surprised if you had that much slack in your budget.
I don't think so.
No, but we'll figure it out.
Okay. All right, since we only have one bid, do we want to make a motion to award the bid to Richard Chafee subsequent to discussion on the funds that can be?
Ms. Lebeck, if I may, my understanding of municipal law is that bids may not be accepted until funding is aligned.
Okay.
So I would recommend
So we
that
just
you
hold on
defer
to it?
approving the bid until you have confirmed that there's funding available.
Okay, this is exactly why I wanted to join a meeting with you,
Mm-hmm.
to talk about the solid waste thing and get the legal to review.
Okay.
Because none of us have done municipal RFPs,
Mhm.
contracts, so, okay, very good. So we'll hold on to this.
But it'll be done ASAP, right? Because
We're gonna
As I
send
said,
it.
I'm sorry, Christina, could you speak a little louder? I didn't quite hear you.
what date did you say you guys are meeting again?
The select board is meeting this
On the seventh.
Thursday, but the agenda is set and I can't change it. We're within the 48-hour
Well,
window.
for unanticipated things, you can add.
If necessary, I could declare an emergency meeting and meet sooner than that. I'm not sure, given that we're meeting on the 7th, I'm not sure that was.
So,
What I'm saying to you is you can take an unanticipated topic at your meeting tomorrow if you,
If I were to declare, I believe I would have to
You could put it
declare
on.
that an emergency matter.
yeah.
And therefore, we could discuss it without the 48-hour notice. Given that we are meeting on the 7th, I'm not sure that's necessary, but let me look into it.
I guess I'm asking because it's already gonna be March and then we have April, so getting everything like voted on and approved and letting him get in to do his work, like timeline, I guess, I'm just.
Is Kelly gonna be?
My point is that the Kelly and the accountant can start looking into this.
Okay,
And the thought being that I don't know if they would have an answer for the board to act on by this Thursday anyway, by tomorrow night. And so therefore, I'm thinking that it makes sense, it gives us a little more time to do all the research, identify our options, at which point then we can then come back with this. I would say you would, and then given this, you may want to schedule, you may want to keep aside some time for a meeting next week so you can have a meeting where you could approve this once we identify the funding. But that's, I can't give you any guidance on when that's going to be because we have to get the question in to Kelly and to Lori so they can start looking at this.
okay.
And then we have to post it 2 days before, right? The meeting?
Yeah, I mean, we can decide on a time. for
Yeah,
everyone.
Alright.
What I would often do is I would just post a meeting for, it's like, I would get with the advisory board and say, let's meet next Wednesday. If we don't need it, we cancel it.
Okay, alright.
All right, so I will follow up too with Amy and advisory, email the select board.
Okay. do you need me for anything else?
I don't think so.
All right, well, then I'm off to my son's basketball practice. Thank you. Have a good night.
Yep.
So I'd like to make a motion that we defer Mr. Chafee's bid for our next meeting.
Yeah, I'd like to try to schedule that. For next week, is there any day that does not work for either of you?
I think Wednesday's usually good. Yeah, I can't Thursday or Tuesday.
Next Wednesday,
Yeah.
find a slot somewhere.
Is that the first Wednesday of the month?
Or I can do during the day.
Maybe next
actually.
Wednesday, whatever. Is it-
I think that's the first Wednesday, so that would be the planning board meets on the day, so that's not gonna work for me unless we do it before the planning board.
What time is your planning? What do you
6:30. So if we do it at 6,
Oh, wait, no, I can't. Can we do anything during the day?
I can do
I
by
can
the day
do-
by
I
phone.
can do it during the day.
I can do during the
If
day
you
by
want,
phone.
You can call in.
Yeah, I can do that by phone during the day.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right, I will look for time on Wednesday next week and maybe during the day. Is there like a better time of day? Okay.
Lunchtime works for me.
Okay, same here. Okay, all right, so I'll set that up. And
So one of us has to be at a public spot though, so the public can attend, correct?
Yeah, I'll be here,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, just
Yeah,
wanna make
okay.
sure, I'll just make sure we're not doing like a
I'm not
three-way.
coming in by phone, yeah.
All right,
But one of us.
Okay,
can
what
be by
about
phone.
Thursday? I think?
Thursday?
Thursday the 7th?
Yeah,
Okay, that works for me.
okay, that's way better.
That's fine. Okay, I'll schedule that.
So Maureen, you're gonna be the one that comes to town hall?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay.
I usually come in anyway, Thursday. All right. All right, Richard.
So I think that we made the motion, did we have to vote on it?
I'll second it.
What's the motion, please?
That we defer Mr. Chafee's bid until we get until our next meeting, as I think that's how I worded it, but I guess we can reword it to say until we get
Thursday.
verification of funding.
Allocation of funding. Okay, you seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So that brings us to the last topic, which is the board review of proposed regulation on noise and trade and nuisance template. Did either of you have a markup document or red line to provide? I put mine in the first draft anyway. I printed it in color for you, and anything I added, I put in red based on feedback that we received from the public. I don't think we should, I think since this is the first time we're seeing it with feedback, we can begin the review tonight. But I would say that, it's gonna take a meeting or two, and then we had agreed to, once we get the language down to what we'd like it to say, we were gonna, provide it to the AgCom, planning board, and, I'll defer back to the minutes on which boards we had stated, but
It was the ZBA and the planning board, we agreed that we were gonna do a joint session with them.
ZBA. I don't know if it was joint session, but at least we send it to them for their input. I mean, I don't know if it needed a joint meeting, if they'd like one, that I'm totally open to that, but they could also just review it and then provide comment. So, I'm just handing it out tonight. I'll defer. Do you guys want to discuss it at all tonight, or do you want to take it home and read it and continue the conversation? What would you prefer to do?
Do you have anything?
It's 7
prepared?
pages long, that's the first time I've seen it, there's a lot of legal jargon, so I mean, I would, not that I'm trying to delay it, but I'd like to, maybe we do maybe one section tonight.
Sure.
But I mean, there's some, well, let me ask you this, like, where did you get all this stuff from?
I took feedback from different members of the public about things that they were concerned about, and so I researched other regulations that are found in Massachusetts towns, as well as information available online. And so I tried to take language that has already worked for other towns and implement it for us. For instance, not to jump ahead into a different section, but I know there was a lot of, concern about the definition of piggery, so I looked into a definition that seemed to, work more towards, not dictating, numbers or things like that, and sort of, making sure that it didn't interfere with generally accepted agricultural practices, and then taking a definition that way. And then I added, like the definition of, or just information about exclusions, right? Things that we would not consider. I added a section for grandfather clause so that businesses that might already be operating in town could have a process to ensure that, we're not just gonna go in and alter that off the top. And certainly a term of assignments, application fees, that, we can, obviously discuss that. I just kind of threw out something that was already in another town's regulation. And then the applications and performance standards, pretty basic. And then a little more, maybe better description of the appeals process, so just things like that. And then some of this came from, there's 2 templates actually available from MAHB on, nuisance. So I looked at both of those and tried to, pull out language that was different from the other template, just so that we had everything. I'm not proposing that everything in here is like to be done. I think we should go section to section and review it and consider, the feedback that we received, consider our town, and draft it accordingly. So I just wanted to make sure that the information that I had researched got to you, and we can start this process.
Can we, one of the concerns I have with this is, we're a right to farm town. And I've looked at other right to farm towns to see what they had for in alliance with this. And I don't wanna, I don't wanna get into an argument, but I feel like we're putting the cart before the horse, because we never decided as a board if this is something that we wanted. It was presented as, in the motion for a hearing, and now we have this 7-page document where
This line right here, page 3 of 7, protects all farming.
it protects all farming.
The odor,
Right, but so when legislation puts into law, like so if we we're on, the state capitol, and we're putting in a law, the law is very precise. It's gonna say, that, if you commit this crime, this is the punishment, and this is what you have to do to get to those elements. So when we use language that says, let's say, for example, the commercial painting of automobile, truck, farming, commercial or industrial equipment in connection with any commercial industrial use. What's gonna happen is, we all know in our minds what we mean by that. But what we have to do as a body is project 20 years from now, what is that body gonna project that to be? Because they're gonna say, they're not gonna say, well, let's go look at that videotape and see what they were thinking. They're gonna say, okay, it's any use. It says any use. That means, wooded could be facing a fine. And
Okay. But that's the point of us reviewing it.
Right, I understand, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that we really have to be very detailed. We have to say, these are our definitions, just like when we did the marijuana bylaw, we said, this is what a greenhouse is. And this is what this means, and this is what this means. So there's no ambiguity, it is clear and concise, that way this doesn't turn into a weapon you know, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now?
So I think, I look at this a very different way. If you're, you know, some of the things that has been said, you know, as some weapon or power grab or anything else, I actually think it's different than that. I think if you look at the state law, like the state law is already in effect. We're already required as a board to do, investigate nuisances and declare sites, noisome trades and things like that. And in the state language, it's in the opinion of the board. And so that's pretty vague in interpretability, and Supreme Court has always sided with the Board of Health. So, I mean, it doesn't give a lot, you know, it's actually a lot of power given to boards of health. When you put a local regulation in place, you're taking, you can't be preemptive to the state law, but you can put in controls or additional language that suits the needs of our town a little more, not to undermine what the state law says, but to add additional language that may make it more clear for everyone. So a business is coming into town or has a business in town, they're not going to be necessarily looking at through all the different sections of the chapter 111, you know, the code, and understanding, you know, which parts of those more than 250 sections apply to them. You know, they're, you know, having a local regulation kind of pulls that in. It gives us the authority, right? So you look at statement of purpose and authority, and it tells you where in the regulations you have this authority, and then your the rest of the local regulations, you know, is going into the more of the details around the process that you follow, you know, how you're, you know, what standards of performance that you're going to expect, what fine you want to set, because, you know, you can fine up to $1,000, sure, but we don't have to do that, right? So, I mean, we can, you know, set that language up. We can define certain things. We don't have to, you know, the list of all of these things that, you know, you pointed out were just things that the Mass Association of Health Boards has in their template. It doesn't mean that all of these even apply to us. I doubt highly we're ever going to have, you know, let me see which one, stone quarry, for instance. You know, like, we don't have those resources in our town, pretty basically, right? So,
So can I ask you about, you brought up, say, Woodard's, do they paint vehicles there?
Well, let's say that he's doing auto body work, it's, you know, a fender.
Yeah.
I mean, is that,
Well, no, that's what I'm at, so
Right.
like, would we have like a grandfather thing in here if, or,
yeah, there's section 8.
okay.
yeah, we have a grandfather thing in, so.
that, but it's like, but this is saying like, if a new business wants to come into town and they want to, say Steve's Collision, I'm just gonna, I know, I'm gonna throw them out here. They wanna come to Brookfield and open a satellite collision center. This isn't saying that they can't, it's
No.
just that they would have to require.
It'd be just like if you have a restaurant or you have a retail store, right? You have to apply, you know, for permit, and then, you know, there's conditions,
Right.
you know,
So they have to do
that they
it-
have to
they would
follow.
have to do it
They get
safely.
inspected.
Right?
They get
Okay.
inspected. You have an auto body shop that comes into town. I mean, we're not talking about every type of business, right, that comes into town. We're talking about businesses that have the ability to harm public health, you know, impact the water, impact the soil, impact the air, you know, be a nuisance or, you know, detrimental to the properties in the nearby surrounding abutters that, you know, around that property. You know, you don't want, I mean, if you have somebody who's using a ton of chemicals, like automotive paint, has a lot of carcinogenic materials in it, and it's been known to do, you know, to cause that. So not only do you want to protect the people around that could be getting those particles out if it's not properly ventilated, right? You want to protect the people working in there, right? You need to protect the people, the employees that are doing the painting every day. They need to have, and there should be an inspection of that facility to make sure that that company is not putting those people in harm's way. You don't want people, you read about it, you see Netflix series after Netflix series about things that have happened in this country and others, about companies that come in and then they're dumping chemicals and, or they're washing them out and they're falling into a retention pond, and that retention pond's getting into an aquifer, and that aquifer's, going down and traveling into the groundwater, and then now it's affecting somebody's well. And now there are kids who are, getting leukemia, or, something's going on. Like, you hear about those stories, those things do happen. And all this is, to try to protect our resources in our town and our lands in our town and the people in our town from any potential noisome trade and or nuisance that could arise from a noisome trade. And it's already, we're already dealing with this in terms of, it's our job. We already have, if you look at section 122, section 31, 143, chapter 111, these are already things that the state has said, is delegated to the Department of Environmental Protection and the National Public Health, and is delegated to the, local boards of health. So, really, we could sit and be reactive in something, and it's not fair to a business either. They spend a lot of money to come in and set up shop, and they go through a lot of permitting, and then to have, 10 years from now, in the opinion of the boards, decides that that's a nuisance and tries to shut them down. The research that I've done, that's a hard hill to get over for them. Having them come in and be permitted and inspected as part of anything else we would do for a restaurant. I mean, the food you eat, you go to a restaurant, you want to ensure that that food is safe for you to eat. You want to install a septic system, or have a new septic system installed, and you want to make sure it's installed correctly, right? So things are inspected. There's a little oversight. This is the same thing. It just applies to a different type of business that we usually see.
But on the grandfather clause, the point that Christina brought up is saying that the ways would be grandfathered in, but in this grandfather clause, we're saying that the existing businesses must apply within 3 months once we sign this into effect, and the board will evaluate their application within 60 days, and if they do not get our approval, they have so many days to appeal. And then we go on to say on, like, the last section really concerns me, especially when we say power to impose additional conditions. We can restrict the hours of an operation of a business. We can restrict the restrictions on traffic entering and leaving the site. That we can do this under the public health and safety and even general welfare shall be, there's this.
So do we want to start section by section? What do we want to do? Or do we want to defer it to the next?
We should, I think, definitely go section to section, because I think the way these are rolled out, it's like you talk about your purpose and authority, you talk about the definitions. So definitions should definitely be, hashed down before we get into any language around the actual.
So what if you review, or we review, if I have to look this over,
I want to review too.
make our notes, and then kind of go through it with our notes section by section?
Yeah, because a lot of the red that you see throughout the later pages is from the other NAHB template. I pulled it together so that we could be reviewing all the classic language that you see in a lot of them. And then I think we should all be doing research and looking at, how did other towns implement the template, or what did they write, and is there a different language out there? I'm not saying this is what I want. I'm just trying to put this together, that this is what I see out there, and we should, consider that, and if we get to a point where we say like this, we don't want to pursue this, that's certainly an option.
When do we make that decision, though? It seems
Well,
like
nobody's made a motion.
it seems like we've been doing a lot of work, and we haven't even. I feel like we really didn't do square one yet. I feel like we went up to square two first. There's one thing that. The one thing that really concerns me on this is I'd like to see the word farm equipment to be stricken from number 3. I mean, I don't think that we are right to farm
Yeah, I
town.
think
Let's like go through it. Like I already circled something I need to like do a little research on. So
Sure.
let's like.
Yeah, that's the
highlight
template
circle that.
language, so I feel like this is what we need to do. We talked about this back, I think, in December, that each of us should review it and create red line on, you know, like you say you have concerns about different sections, all right? Get that information together, like, do you wanna strike it entirely and redline it, right? Do you wanna add language, change language, just do a track change on the document, or present your own. I mean, I'm not even suggesting we use a template, this is what's available.
Right.
And lawyers have spent time, you know, developing this, and this has been used in other towns. So it seemed like, you know, the logical place to start.
But as you said, I mean, state already gives us this authority, but the authority that we're taking on a local level is more defined. So we're giving ourselves the authority to define if you're just too loud, that's gonna be a violation. So I mean, that's not gonna be in the state.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, that's what state law is right now. The state law gives, we have more authority right now with just using the state law than we do with a local regulation. It's the opposite of what you think. I've talked to different people, and they're like, yeah, I would never do that, because then it takes away some of my authority. I've literally heard that come out of some health agents' mouths, and I'm not sure I agree with that mentality. You know, for me, it's about having clarity. I like to be proactive about, you know, not having something come to town and meeting after meeting, people are really upset, and those complaints that are gonna come in are always gonna come into the Board of Health, right? And complaints of odor, or, you know, any other, you know, noise and things like that. So the goal is really to kind of set the stage of what the expectations are, so both people in town and businesses alike know what those are and can be, okay, this is what I need to do, and then you get it in place and they have a permit, and then they're also not being subjected to frivolous complaints, perhaps, you know? So it's just a place for there to be information, it's known, and we can be proactive more than reactive, and that's really like the ultimate goal. We definitely have to consider that Brookfield will change over time. You know, it may not stay like that painting up there, you know, as families age and farms, you know, I've seen it happen in my hometown, you know, farms change over time, and so you can't always expect the land use to stay. I mean, the farm that my mother grew up on is, you laugh, it's in the middle of Wilmington, you know, in a huge industrial area. Like it's all just industrials now. It used to be a huge, beautiful farm that, you know, and so I mean, we can't promise that it's going to stay the same either. You know, it may change. Another board may come in and say something different, but you know, if we wanted to pursue it, you know, then I think, you know, we have a good board to be able to do that. There's other regulations out there that we should have in place for other things. You know, I think that's really the work of this board. Like, we're supposed to be looking at public health as a whole, assessing public, you know, the principles of public health, not looking through it with just our opinion, but applying public health principle to, you know, is this going to harm the environment? Is it going to harm the population here? Is there a threat? You know, how can we, you know, protect people from that threat? It's not about preventing, you know, telling a company they can't come into town. It's just giving that oversight the same way we do for restaurants and for retail establishments. If I go down to Dollar General, you know, they have permits to operate. If I go into the Clam Box, they have a permit to operate, and it's the same thing. So it's really not something to fear. It's something to.
It's really not the same though, because like, for example, the planning board gave a license to the boat mechanic, and we said, this is gonna be your hours of operation, you can be open this day, you can be closed this day. But now, he's gonna have to come to the Board of Health, and what happens when we have that applicant comes before us, and the Board of Health says, you know what? You're too loud. We're gonna say you have to close at 5. But he's gonna say, hey, the planning board said I could be open till 8. Who wins on that? You know, when the planning board says in the application, we find no threat to public health, and we hereby grant this special permit, and then
Well-
the Board of Health says, you know what, you are a threat, and we want you closing at 4.
Let me ask you this, is the planning board tasked with, determining public health?
They're not tasked with determining public health, no, they're not. But they are tasked with issuing a special permit
Right.
for an accessory use
And
and
the same
saying
thing
what the
applies
hours are.
if a new restaurant opens up in town, they gotta, and if it's in a zone where they need to get a special permit, they gotta go to planning, get the special, they gotta go to the building inspector, they gotta go to a fire department, they gotta
Right.
go to the wiring inspector, they gotta go to the plumbing inspector, and they gotta come to the board of health.
Right, but
Before
what
they
I'm
get a
s-
special permit.
What I'm saying is that if the planning board says that they can be open till 9 o'clock, but the Board of Health says, no, you have to be closed at 5 because you're a nuisance, who wins on that?
Well, let's research that, you know, that's a good question, I don't know the answer specifically. I would suggest that if it's a noisome trade, it's gonna default to the Board of Health, because the state did not give authority for citing noisome trade to planning boards or to select boards, they gave it to the Board of Health, because it falls under the DEP and the Mass Public Health, and we are agents to those two agencies.
That's another concern of mine, is the citing, both positive and negative. And I know I've said this before, when we're gonna sit there and cite businesses, and we're gonna say, okay, you do fall in this classification, so you can have your businesses here, 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 here. Are we, is the end result is we're basically making a combat zone of all the nuisance trades in one location. You know, like, we're gonna just saturate this one area, because that's where we want the nuisance trades to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, a lot of towns have a designated industrial park or something like that. We don't have that in this town.
Right. I just don't wanna see nothing
think
that's
we could.
attached.
I don't think we could, you know, and I don't know that we wanna look at it like, we don't like what it is. You know, I don't want it in this particular spot. That doesn't necessarily make sense. What makes sense is like, is there a potential for this spot to create, like, this person setting up a plastic manufacturing plant right on the shore of the Quabog, you know, like something like that. I mean, I think that's something that we have to assess, and it doesn't really make a difference whether we have in this language whether or not we're citing a noisome trade. It's already our job in the state level, and the fact that there's been so much confusion around that in this town and people not knowing that, it just tells me even more that a local regulation would help alleviate some of that confusion. And I think that,
Point of privilege?
I'll give you the privilege.
Is this document available to the public?
Yes.
Can I get a copy of that?
You can have mine if you want, photocopy it right
I'll
away.
get a photo. Anybody else want one?
I'm gonna post it, too, so.
So, the finding, what if they like opened their business and did it without the special permit, like?
Which
when-
special permit? Ours or the
Like,
planning?
say a new business comes in, like, when would we do any of, like?
Yeah, who goes first? Right, yeah.
What would be an example, like,
Well,
they didn't get their permit, so they go open anyway, and then?
that's when there's
Okay.
enforcement.
Okay.
It's the same thing for anything else. If the planning board did a special permit and they didn't follow the special permit, then there's
Gotcha.
zoning enforcement officers
Yeah.
involved.
Okay.
If a restaurant opens and they're not complying with the food code, then the health agent comes in and inspects and there's, you know, enforcement. And, but right now, we don't have it set, like, you know, we would individually have to sit here and decide what fine to use, because we don't have it set in our town. Those expectations are not set, like, there's nothing to say, like, if you, don't comply, you know, right now it says up to $1,000.
It's $1,000.
Up to $1,000.
Up to $1,000. So.
Doesn't have to be though.
But that's a
You
day,
could say, that's the state's language allows us, we
Right.
can't find something more than $1,000.
But that's
We
every
haven't
24
said
hours.
that. That
Yeah.
is just.
No, but that's right. That's so it's every 24 hours. Okay.
But you, I wouldn't wanna do that to somebody.
I wouldn't either.
I mean, you could say something, most of the time in the language that's in a lot of town regulations, it's like the first offense is $100, you know, and if they don't comply,
The rest of it goes up.
It goes up,
Right.
you know, and then they end up in court or something, you know, and there's always an appeal, you always have a, you know, there can be circumstances that, you know, if the board's creating a circumstance that's, you know, creates an undue injustice to that business, then they can seek out, you know, remedy through the Department of Environmental Protection, they can go to the court, you know, so it's not like a final say here, but.
The earth removal, wasn't that something mandated by the state that it has to be in there if we have it? I thought that was one of the three.
It's funny, that was just an example, but I noticed that earth removal's in the planning.
It's in the state law,
It's in the planning,
but it's under the
it's
MGL
in our
111.
bylaws, it's in our zoning bylaws already.
But it's in the MGL 111 as well. It's like, I think it's like the first thing, right? So I don't think that we do have a
No, it's
strike
not the
through.
first thing, definition of control is the first thing.
Well, I mean, after the definition, it's the first.
I'd have to look at it, I don't know.
I don't think that we can remove that because you have it stricken.
Wait, what do you think it's in?
No,
I
I
believe that
think-
this is in the MGL. I don't think that we can strike the removal and how we keep, I don't think we can take the earth removal out. I think it was earth removal, piggeries, and there was one more, I can't
There's
remember what it was.
nothing in
That has to
section
stay.
143 that talks about earth removal.
I think it was one of the,
Chapter 111 has
111.
3 sections that deal with noise and trade. And in none of that, the only one they actually come out and say, because it dates back to like the 1920s or something, is that they, in the law, you know, once it's in the law, it's really hard to get it out. But we don't really have that problem in the state anymore. But years ago, it was a big problem. And so that was spelled out specifically in the state language. So no, I can't undo that language that's in the state language, but in the state's language, it says notwithstanding anything in chapter 120, section 125A, which is where they talk about nuisances around farming, and there's specific language, like obviously a farm can be a nuisance if they're not following generally accepted agricultural practices, right? But they have a boilerplate language that says that, you know, all of these things under this definition of agriculture are not to be considered a nuisance. So, I mean, and it's pretty strong, and we are a right to farm town, but in itself, like, nuisance still falls under Board of Health.
I have a question on the application fees. We're gonna charge people $250 for the application fee.
These are just texts.
Oh, just text, okay.
Don't assume it's
All right, and then
rewritten.
it says that we're going to, that they're gonna be responsible for outside consultants, engineers, and attorneys if we need assistance in reviewing their application. So
Yeah.
we're
the planning board
gonna
will
pay,
do
they're gonna pay our attorney fees?
They may have to pay for like engineer or, consult, a lot of times that is deferred to
What if
the
you
applicant.
circle these, write all
Why would
these
the town pay
questions
for that?
down? Write all these questions down. What? And,
What
cause
about-
we're
can I-
gonna,
Well,
we're
we're
gonna
just
be
talking, I mean,
Go
we
here
have like,
till 8.
we have
We
15
have to be
minutes.
here till late?
It says
Don't have to be,
6
I
to 8
mean,
is on
unless
the
you're
agenda.
making a motion to adjourn, but.
Okay, well, at 8.
Can I underline it instead of circle it?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, put a star, smiley face.
Smiley face, all right.
I mean, we're not just trying to make a decision tonight.
I'm just saying.
No, I was trying to go over some of these
Yeah,
points.
chit chat, I guess if we're here till late, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the language they said, again, is still
Write all this
templated.
down.
The language is still templated. This is where you come in and say, here's what I think it should say.
That's right, that's why I'm pointing these out, so we can all look it up.
Yeah,
Oh, good idea,
So, yeah,
keep it going.
okay, thank you.
yeah, we,
I'll tell you what my concerns are if we accept this. My biggest concern is gonna be the grandfathering clause. We're gonna make these existing businesses come in and apply, they're gonna have to fork over $250, engineers cost, attorney fees, and there's a chance that they're gonna get denied. And we already know Cassie's gonna be applying, the boat, the
Wait, you have
mechanic.
to,
no, I don't know about that, Chris.
No.
do you have to apply?
I don't think so. I don't think we have any,
That's what it says, they
I
have
don't
to
know
apply.
what noisome trades do we have in town right now?
Propane? That
It's
would
not
fall
considered
under,
It's not considered a noisome trade.
yeah, but under our definitions it is, because it says anything that has, 55 gallons or more of any,
External,
yeah,
Exterior.
exterior storage, and they do. Those propanes will be over 55 pounds, 55 gallons. See, this is what I'm saying, we have to be very precise in our language, because
Inside. Right? Is that what you mean?
even Cumberland Farms could be, because they have all those little propane tanks, even that could be considered.
no, that's not.
Do we have to exclude stuff like that? That's, we have to make sure our language
Well, that's,
is
that's,
precise.
yeah, I mean, you also have to apply the rest of the sentences, right? It has to be, you know, a threat to,
Then,
The
then
public health.
then put it in there, that's threat to public health. But now that's,
it's in 143.
right, but then that's subjective.
You
Who's
have to
thinking it's a
law.
threat? The neighbors think it's a threat, they think it's the biggest threat in the world.
I
Yeah.
know, it's very subjective.
Right, it's very subjective.
Right now, the state language is extremely subjective. It's in the opinion of the board, literally.
And let's deal with the elephant in the room. So is this is gonna affect the Sun Fusions, the cannabis? So because we said at the public hearing that it is. So but it's not listed on our 12 listed businesses.
I'd expect it to, because, or to, especially for like maybe manufacturing based on like chemicals or change in soil and the water requirements, but also this is like a hot topic in the state right now. A lot of towns are putting in actual marijuana regulations as a separate regulation. I don't know. I haven't really delved into that one yet, but,
But if we have a new business, right, so let's say we have a new business and they say that my business is, just say on the marijuana, how do we know what his plans are? How do we know that he's not gonna grow hemp? Or we don't know that he's gonna grow little baby flowers that are never gonna use any chemicals? We're assuming just because he's in that classification of a business?
I don't know if we're assuming anything. I don't know yet. I mean, I think that's something that we need some guidance from, you know, from like town council. I wouldn't wanna assume, another board could though. If we had different people on this board, it certainly could happen.
Right, that's
So
what I'm
That's
saying.
what I'm saying, like, you know, we need to make the language work. We need to think about it and the language, you know, seems to be, you know, very problematic and we have a good rationale, you know. I mean, it's supposed to be reasonable regulations, right? They're not supposed to be made so that, you know, people can't do anything, but also we have to consider all, you know, those public health principles. We have to make sure that, you know, if it's affecting the public health, if it's injurious to their estates, if it's, you know, gonna cause sickness, you know,
Oh,
there's a
right.
little list in the regulation, there's a little list, and we just have to, you know, apply those principles. And honestly, what I haven't seen in a lot of local regulations is really that thought process spelled out. And I thought, you know, maybe that's something we could consider adding so that when the board is presented with saying, okay, there's a new business coming into town and it's potentially a noisome trade, that there's a algorithm of thought that goes on to say, you know, is this truly a noisome trade or is it just subject to someone's opinion?
Right.
You know,
I think that's very
right.
important. That's very
Right?
important.
So what would be some concerns of why would Mr. Fromm be like upset about this? Like what goes into outdoor?
Well, it's a business that's not,
connects with this?
it's a business that doesn't really exist, and we're gonna say, okay, you have to come forth without even knowing.
Wait, what do you mean it doesn't exist?
It doesn't, alright, so we're saying that it's causing a threat to public health. It doesn't exist. There's
Right,
no business
there's no
yet.
business there yet.
There's no business.
So,
So-
I don't know what, I'm not sure I
No
understand
difference
where you're
than
going with that.
there's no garage open yet. Like, what do you mean? There's stuff that comes along with opening auto body paint shop.
Right, so let's say,
You know
let's
that.
say,
So what
no.
comes- I've never grown marijuana.
Right, so let's say an auto body shop opens up and he's just gonna do oil changes. Okay, so that could be a threat. What is he doing with the oil? Let's say there's an auto body shop open up and all he's gonna do is mass safety inspections. Obviously, those are two different businesses. We don't know until, we can't sit and say, all
Yeah.
auto
Well,
bodies
you
have
need
to come
to
to
know
us.
what they're going to
Right,
be.
right, exactly.
Like, we wanna know what he's coming in and gonna.
Right,
do.
but I'm saying we just can't, we can't just throw a blanket over that whole industry and say that whole industry has to come before us. It has to, that's
Well,
what I'm
what
saying.
would be some concerns that would interfere with this, with growing that?
I'm not too concerned about that business in
No,
itself.
I am, I'm
but-
asking straight.
I don't
up.
know. You could ask him. I'm not 100% sure on that. What I'm saying is that so we say that the nuisance is, I don't know, the odor. But what if he's growing, baby plants? They don't smell. So now we're making him come to us, spend the money.
No, I'm not, this is the thought process I'm not understanding from you. If he's growing something and it doesn't smell, where do we come in?
That's what I'm saying. Where do we come in? Do we come in after the business is already operated, or does he have to come before
Well,
us?
that would be reactive and that would be harmful to him. I mean, if he's gonna go through all that trouble to open a business and then, we wait and then suddenly it's a problem, wouldn't it be better to kind of have those discussions ahead of time and say like, well, what are you putting in place to mitigate that problem, and have the agent I don't know the detail of how the inspections go for the cannabis control.
Yeah, but I'm
commission,
sorry,
but
just cannabis.
those
It's
things
all
happen.
businesses.
No, but you
No, but
brought
he's
it
gonna have
up.
a
You brought up
plan.
the elephant in the room, and I know nothing about it, so I am legit asking, so.
I don't
we
know all
can
the
have
details and all
proper-
the scientific stuff
Well,
behind it.
Could you get it?
I could get that.
So that we could
And-
address that.
And another point to be scientific on, or be really regulated on, is the noise regulation. That should be measured in decibels.
It is, DEP has, guidance
Okay.
on noise.
We should put in there.
Smell is not something we
Right.
can measure very well, but
Right.
noise definitely is.
The noise
And
is
it's-
actually
there's-
saying what
there's
the
a-
decibel is.
There's a specific,
Right.
yeah, and where you stand and
Right.
where in the property it gets measured and everything, yeah, that's.
Because we'll have neighbors calling the police saying, I can hear the noise, and, it's.
Just because you can hear it doesn't make it.
Right,
yeah.
exactly, it has to be a certain.
Just
level.
because you smell something doesn't either.
Right.
Remember, this is noisome, right? And that there's when you have to think about the definition of the word, it doesn't just say it smells. It has to have a poison, there has to be something about that smell that could be injurious to people. If it's ammonia fumes, right? Like, you're smelling ammonia coming from some manufacturing plant or something, and it's making your eyes water, and then, and you can't breathe, and it's causing, respiratory distress. So that could be considered, but just smelling an odor in itself is not under that definition, at least how I perceive public health principles. But having the clarity in the language, I think, would be helpful for the town, so that, just using you as an example, like, if he did open up and then someone did that and they're constantly calling, I smell, and we get those kind of complaints. We get the people who, I don't like that person, they drive by and they got something out in their yard, and then we gotta send the agent out, and then the agent's stopping by all the time, and it's just, that's not fair to him either. But
Yeah,
if we have it proactively and there's a plan, and, I feel like even these things can be done jointly with the planning board when they're doing special permit review, what's the harm in having a joint meeting together, reviewing the plan and, going through the various, okay, so what's in the plan for safety, what's in the plan for, air control, what's in the plan for preventing any pesticides from getting into the aquifer, just having those discussions, okay, and then here's your permit, and
So
someone's gonna inspect you once in a while, like, it's not really that much different than a restaurant.
So a joint session would be a solution?
I think I'm not gonna speak for the planning board, and you've got a quorum of planning board members in the room, so we're not, I'm not
Oh,
expecting
we do,
anybody to
yeah,
speak.
yeah, we do. That's right.
So, but I'm saying, those kinds of things is how the town can start collaborating more and making it more efficient for someone. I mean, I definitely recognize that there's, not every business has 10 hurdles to go over, but, his business has got a lot of hurdles to go over, and, that's a lot. I'm all for making it more efficient, and I just wanna look out for, the public health.
On the grandfathering, right, when we're saying that the businesses that are gonna be considered, in our purview, are they gonna have to pay the $250 application fee? The existing businesses?
That came out of the thing that's for us to discuss and set.
So we have to set a fee?
All of this text is for us to,
Well, let me ask you this, would you guys be willing to consider just grandfathering all the existing businesses in Brookfield as of today? Is
I'd
there,
have to get legal opinion on that, I don't.
no, something we
I'd
could
have
look
to-
into?
Yeah, obviously, yeah. yeah, I mean, I would like to do the least amount of, you know, that's required in terms of making it, a burden to businesses that have already been operating. I mean, if they're already operating and there's no problem, like, why would you create one?
Right, that's what I'm saying. I think, in my personal opinion, I think that we should grandfather all existing businesses as
Well, I
what it
think
is
we need
today.
to research what we can under the law, and then, you know, maybe,
And if we're not, I'd like to know which businesses we're not gonna grandfather in. As I think those businesses should
yeah,
be
I don't
given a
even know
heads
that we
up.
have any noisome trades in town, to be honest.
Well-
I think this is just thinking about the long-term vision and future, knowing that land is getting scarcer and scarcer, and, you know, we don't have town sewage, right? So we're not gonna attract a lot of the standard companies and businesses that you see. You know, we're not gonna get a lot of office buildings in this town. We're not gonna get a lot of restaurants and things like that, because they all have to have septic systems. The type of businesses that may be appealing to our town being, oh, it's a little cheaper out here. It's also, you know, I mean, easier, you know, something, maybe I'll put my, my plastic manufacturing plant there, you know, on the farm that just got up for sale because, you know, family's selling it off.
Answer what, or go along with what you said is, how could we address that for the next meeting, like?
I think you should take the document and research
But
it.
that whole grandfather as of today, like, who would you check with and ask, like, if we had any
I would like,
existing or some trade?
I would like
businesses?
town council to give input. I feel like
Do
we
we need
should.
a list of all the businesses in town?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know why
So
we
we
would
would
make
just
it,
be
I
asking
wouldn't make a
town
problem
council.
out of what is probably not a problem
No,
right
just
now.
saying that everybody that exists right now is grandfathers,
Well,
right?
that's what I'd like to see. That's normally how it
But I'm
goes.
just asking, like, what do we
Right.
need?
I don't know if it's,
Right?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't wanna say it because I don't know why this language is in there based on the lawyers that develop it,
What I'm
but
asking is, how can we get an answer? So who
I
can
think-
we ask?
I think we should ask Kelly. She's a town administrator, she's a town attorney.
I mean, we
she's-
can get a
she's
list of
municipal-
all the businesses.
Right, we can listen to all the businesses, but I think we should ask Kelly, she is a municipal lawyer, and then it won't cost us to waste town council's money. So every time we call KP Law, the register starts going in the background. So I think we should put
well,
Kelly
I mean,
first.
I don't know if Kelly has any experience in noise and trade. Like, she's a lawyer for
But
sure,
she can push us in the right direction at
but,
the very
you know,
minimum.
I mean, KP has a ton of attorneys that specialize in all kinds of areas. We also have a lot of surrounding towns in our area that have noise and trade businesses, and we could, you know, reach out to their boards and their, you know, people to say, like, how did you overcome this? We have several associations. We have the Massachusetts Health Board Association, we have MHOA available to us, we have, you know, there's a lot of resources out there that we could research and look at. I've
But
been making
basically,
calls.
we just need a list of the businesses in town and someone with legal, whatever.
We're almost on the hour, so I think
I
we
was
just,
just trying to.
can we just make a motion to continue this?
Yeah, so just on one last part of that, if we don't grandfather in, I think we should at the very minimum, waive the fee for an existing business. I don't think
Oh,
an existing business should
yeah,
pay
I
any
think-
fees at all.
What I'd like to see, Chris, is like, can you mark up the document, what you think, and we'll go section to section
A whole bunch of
when
smaller
we get into
cases.
the review, and then we can just all agree on what those would look like. Motion to adjourn,
I'll make
Motion
a
to-
motion.
or we're gonna continue this, right? We're gonna continue this conversation?
Yeah, I'll make do I have to make a motion? A motion to continue this, discussion on the noise and
To the next meeting?
trade and the next meeting.
I'll definitely have it on the agenda for the next meeting.
I'll second that motion.
Motion, all in favor?
All right.
Aye, motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn at
Second.
8:02.
801.
Wow.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all right. Adjourn.
Sorry, babe. Sorry, babe. Ready to go? Mike? I have nothing to say to you, sir. Stay away from me.
Okay, you're just a hypocrite.
Yeah, I'm a hypocrite.
Yep.
Yep. kill so many trees, good work, guys, so much paper. Thank you, appreciate it. This is exactly what I was looking for. Still hot. Sit, finish. No. Finish.